Well, I'm glad you all liked it. So the first Dragons the Nine Realms video was just meant to be a little sideshow, something to keep you guys occupied while I was working on my bigger project, which was the Justin and the Knights of Valor video. This was the thickness I was telling you about.
What were you just watching?
But you guys didn't seem to care. No! You guys absolutely smashed that video past 1 million views. Seriously, you guys, that's amazing. So with season 2 finally out, and me being the view whore that I am, I thought it's about time that we go back to the Nine Realms. And when I say go back, I mean, why the fuck is it called Nine Realms to begin with? Seriously, nothing about the show in the last 2 seasons has even remotely hinted that we're going to other realms. I mean, I guess you could argue the different biomes that we see could be the Nine Realms, but first of all, why would you even call them that? You couldn't just call this show Dragons a New Age or Dragons a New World? No, the Nine Realms.
Come here, look at me. Look at me. You see this? You see this egg? Garbage! It's not worth my time.
There was this brief part in episode 2 that did bring up a Sector 9, and here I was thinking to myself, oh, so that's gotta lead us to the Nine Realms, right? Maybe the government organization might have more to do with the dragons than we thought. Huh, you know, that might actually be kind of cool, but no, it's just a pointless cave that has jack shit to do with anything. Thanks, Dragons of the Nine Realms, somehow you actually disappointed me. So one of my biggest fears with the season was that it was just gonna be a rehash of How to Train Your Dragon 2. But fortunately for us, it wasn't. Instead, it was a tedious, boring, poorly animated, and rather pointless kid show that still isn't trying at all. Seriously, about 80% of this show is pure, unnecessary filler that doesn't tie into any major element of the main story involving Tom's connection to the Vikings and Thunder's family. Which wouldn't even be that big of a deal if it was in a longer season. Remember how season 1 was only a whopping 6 episodes? Oh, well, don't worry, guys. We got more episodes this time. For this season, we got 7 episodes.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, like I said, most of it is super pointless. In fact, I'm pretty sure you could skip episodes 1, 2, and 5 and not miss anything crucial. Episode 3 is filler too, but Alex is still best girl in this show, so it gets a pass. Episode 4 has some mentions of Tom hiding the secret from his friends, which I honestly don't get why he's doing that. In the last season, when he and June found Plowhorn, they brought D'Angelo to the hidden world, didn't they? Sure, he was hesitant, but he still agreed. I just don't understand why he's suddenly being super secretive to the rest of the group. Apparently it's because Tom's used to being alone, even though he should have gotten used to having people around him by now. So this still makes no sense and frankly makes the drama between the group feel very arbitrary and pointless. Tom's already opened up to the group before, so why is this even a problem? On top of all that, who does this show think they're fooling? Fucking babies? Nobody's gonna watch this show unless they're big fans of How to Train Your Dragon already, right? So basically, we already know what the connection's gonna be. Along with the mystery, that's not really a mystery, this episode also introduces a possible new villain in the future. Now, brace yourselves, everyone. This is gonna be hard to take in. This new possible villain is a guy who loves cutting down trees and is named Buzzsaw. Buzzsaw.
The name's Buzzsaw.
This is real. We've officially entered Captain Planet levels of dumb. At least with Captain Planet, you know what you're getting into, but dragons? There's a standard, isn't there? We've seen good villains in both the movies and previous shows, so what's this Buzzsaw nonsense? And yeah, I know his real name is Leonard, but he wants to be called Buzzsaw. He's a jerk who plugs in too many plugs into the socket, complains whenever his workers run out of gas, and even brings like 50 gallons of gasoline into a forest fire.
Not too bad. Probably still drives.
Seriously, this guy is parody levels of insanely stupid. And no, the episode making a joke about it doesn't fix that. I especially love the fact that Buzzsaw is the one who starts the fire instead of an actual dragon. That way, when he swears his vengeance on the dragons later, it might make him a compelling villain later on. Thank you, DreamWorks. The weird thing is that after his car blows up, no one goes back for him? Yeah, he's just left to rot in the aftermath. Seriously, that's kind of fucked up. Oh, and you gotta love that exposition in the beginning of the episode. Definitely doesn't feel forced or out of nowhere in the slightest.
You three are aware that this is the Byrne Lumber Company? Established 57 years ago by Sterling Byrne, my dearly departed granddaddy?
Yeah, that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Wait a minute. I've heard that voice before.
The name's Buzzsaw. Hi, I'm Sora.
No fucking way! You got Haley Joel Osment to voice this asshole? Seriously?
Come on, Dr. Shockaloo, get your ass up here!
I gotta be part of this shit.
Then you have the last two episodes, which is basically Tom revealing that he lied so the group can be mad at him. And we also find that Thunder has found a Skrill. So for those who don't know, in the previous show, Toothless had a rivalry with another dragon known as a Skrill. It's kind of like a Mongoose versus Cobra deal. I remember in my trailer reaction video, people were telling me that the Skrill can freeze itself in ice, which would explain how it went all these years without evolving like the other dragons did. Which, you know, fair point, but in the show, we don't ever see it get frozen, so for all intents and purposes, this is just a random Skrill, and it never evolved, which is really weird. Also, turns out this stuff around it isn't ice, but in fact silver. Just thought I should mention that. I keep hearing people discuss the possibility that Thunder is in fact one of Toothless's kids, but to be honest, I really disagree. I don't think dragons in this particular universe are necessarily magical. Unless something later down the line confirms that these dragons do in fact live for thousands of years, I'm just gonna keep assuming that, like Tom being a descendant of Hiccup, Thunder is just a descendant of Toothless. Also, anyone else notice how huge this Skrill is? In the last show, it was roughly the same size as Toothless, but here, he's massive! He towers over all the other dragons. So, like, the only way it evolved is by growing bigger? Why was that the one thing that changed about him? Speaking of the dragons, the new ones just aren't really that memorable. You have that unicorn one called a Bubblehorn, which from what people told me in the comments was just stolen from the Rescue Rider show. And yeah, they were right. Aside of some minor differences, it's pretty much the same dragon. Like, my god, that's pretty lazy. I guess it was kind of funny when it popped popcorn with his horn, but that's really about it. Then you have another Gronkle ripoff, which was called the Magma Breather. Man, y'all just reaching for good names for these dragons, aren't ya? These are just more Featherhides who are actually just molting, which explains why they were so aggressive. Then you have the Spider Wings, which, actually not gonna lie, these guys are pretty cool. It's actually a unique, interesting concept that we haven't seen before in dragons. Okay, the 9 realms, you get 1 point for one cool dragon. How about the Razor Whip? Yeah, they bring that back, and again, as far as we know, it's not Heather's Razor Whip, it's just another random Razor Whip that hasn't evolved either. Okay, so the dragons suck, save for one. How about the characters? Well, I will admit they're better this time around, but let's start off with a good one.
Huh? Okay then.
Alex is still best girl. She's actually super sassy in this season, and I kind of love it.
You bugged our parents? What are you, some kind of super spy?
Now you're starting to get it.
Wait a minute. Am I bugged?
She's always got some witty remark, and most of the time, she just ends up cracking me up.
We can't just leave him out here. We still have a code.
No rider left behind.
Someone should tell the blonde guy.
Did you just hold a grudge?
I said earlier that episode 3 does constitute as filler since it still doesn't tie into anything major, but I actually really like Alex's character arc in this episode. Watching her go from being super shy and scared to actually being willing to face a giant dragon all to save hers felt very natural and believable. And to see her actually use her strengths to outwit the huge Featherhide was pretty cool too. Overall, while a filler episode, a genuinely good episode nonetheless. As for the others, no. June is just more or less the same. I saw a lot of comments from my first season video about how weird it was that June Wong was given the super Chinese dragon. Yeah, I noticed that too, but again, shorter video meant to keep you busy until this graced your screens. D'Angelo has this arc about him trying to become his own person and not be like his dad, and while I do see what they were going for, this doesn't really help the fact that D'Angelo and his father barely interact in the season at all. Like, seriously, this one scene here with Mr. Baker scolding his son once is not enough, especially when you plan on focusing on this throughout the entire season. It just feels super forced when D'Angelo comes out of nowhere and shouts, "No, Dad, you're wrong about Tom, he's cool." And it's made even more forced when Mr. Baker just accepts it completely with no prompting. Like, what, did he develop off-screen somewhere or what? Last time we saw Mr. Baker, he was angry that his son disobeyed him, but literally the next time we see him, he's super understanding and willing to listen to his son? How hard is it in this animated show to show, not tell? You can literally show anything!
Who'd throw away a perfectly good sneaker? Linda.
Do I even want to ask? I already talked about Tom and how weird it is that he's keeping secrets from his friends. So weird. You also have the adults who are pretty much an afterthought in this show. They're barely focused on. Sure, Tom's mom is relevant in episode 2, but again, nothing really special happens in that episode except that she finds a rock that apparently the dragons like. I guess that'll be important later, but for now, no. June has a brother apparently that was introduced in episode 1. He's barely in the show at all. In fact, he's only in 2 episodes, the first and the last one. He doesn't do anything plot relevant, and frankly, you could have wrote him out of the show and nothing would have changed, at all. Also, why does he look like that? What is it with animation nowadays that has to make their background characters look like people from the Renaissance? Incestuous ones. The animation is still super cheap looking. I can forgive a TV show for not having the same animation quality as the movies, and to be honest, I believe it's to be expected. But this is DreamWorks. They've done television animation before this. The last Dragon show had pretty good animation for TV, minus a couple of animation errors here and there. Nothing too major though. You also had Tales of Arcadia, which was gorgeous looking, and that was 3 separate shows altogether. But this just looks like a huge drop in quality. You can see where shortcuts were made in the animation, like running cycles look weird and choppy. Sometimes the character's hair looks pretty stiff even while flying. The new characters look very weird, especially Buzzsaw! Not the ugliest show I've seen, but if I'm being honest, if you want to see someone better suited for going more in-depth with the problems of the show, then you should probably check out Audrey Greywind. She's definitely more integrated with How to Train Your Dragon than your boy here, so she's the one you want to go to if you're hoping for something a little more in-depth than this video. As for me though, I still have that show to worry about. As second seasons go, in my opinion, it could have been a lot worse. I think what made the first season so bad was the blatant, shameless repetition of the original movie. But this season was just more boring, generic kiddie crap. Outside of Alex and the Spiderwings, I frankly don't see much reason to revisit these 9 realms in the near future. Except for the views. I'll do anything for the views. And maybe just to see how bad Buzzsaw will turn out to be. Seriously, I cannot get over that. Haley Joel Osment!